ये बोली, लाल मेहनत के बिना रोटी किस घर में पकी, रोटी किस घर में पकी, रोटी किस घर में पकी, जियो मेरे लाल.
Welcome to the 6th South Asian Theatre Festival. From the Nautanki Theatre Company. I would like to take this opportunity to officially thank you for your presence here tonight. We really appreciate it, and it's really heartening to see a full house. We at Nautanki Theatre Company, we are fully committed to this festival. Last year, the festival was in its 5th year, but unfortunately we couldn't have an audience. We performed 3 plays in front of a camera, and we digitally telecast them. So it's our pride and joy to see all of you in the house tonight. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause and a huge thank you from us for being here tonight. We will have a brief question and answer session with the directors of the 3 plays. Can I please ask you to, so we'll just have a quick chat and then we'll throw the questions to you guys. So can I please request you to have your questions handy? Grill them, please. We love to grill our directors, but keep it to questions, please, so that we can have an interactive dialogue. So without further delay, I would like to invite on stage Sudarshan Narayana, the writer and director of the Kannada play My Piece of Sky. And the young Musavir Shuftai, who directed Man Batwara, the Punjabi play. And last but certainly not the least, Neil Banerjee, the creative director of Nautanki Theatre Company and the co-writer and director of the last play that you saw there. So how's everyone feeling being the last night of the festival?
It's sad. Same.
Sudha, can I please ask you the first question?
I didn't mean to pass the mic. That was completely unintended.
That was my cue to ask the first question to Sudha. Sudha, so when Nautanki Theatre Company approached you, and obviously this is the first year that we've had had the festival on a particular theme, and as you know, the theme was partition and diaspora, because this is the next year will be the 75th year of the partition of the subcontinent. We'll talk to Neil a little bit later about the actual theme, but Sudha, I'd like to ask you, how did you actually interpret the theme for this year's festival for your play?
Yeah, thanks, Rima. So the first thing when the topic was mentioned to us, we thought of, are we going to tell a story which is probably 75 years old, or like we have only heard from our older generation, and like how relevant is that going to be for the diasporic audience? So kind of we started looking at that, and then we thought that if we are talking about partitions, it is about creating borders. Because if a land is together, you don't need a border. So it's only the border comes into existence when there is a partition. Natural partitions between the countries, borders between the countries, it's always there. It's geographical and political. But then we thought, I think what's more intense or more, so to speak, cruel is when you have borders within a country. So we thought maybe that is much more relevant to us as to where the borders are today. Is it just end of the country, or is it in the middle? So we would try to explore that aspect of it, as in partition, but we are partitioning the population, partitioning the borders between the people. So that's when we kind of thought of our play, My Piece of Sky, and yeah, hopefully people loved it.
Yeah. And Sudha, further to that, may I please ask you just briefly, what was your creative process? Because obviously you're the writer of the play as well. What was the creative process behind writing this play? Because it's a very heartfelt, very emotional play, but also at the same time very poignant, very relevant to what's happening back home at the moment.
True. I mean, one thing I should make clear out on the outset is I haven't was subject to that discrimination myself, because I was born and brought up in Bangalore, so my parents already, maybe my parents did, they never told me, but I myself was not. But you listen to these stories every day. You listen to people telling how hard it was for them to find a place, and I don't think it's even just Bangalore aspect. I think it's urban aspect. And someone was telling that it's probably also happening in Sydney, where people are discriminated based on their backgrounds and stuff like that. So we thought that renting out, like getting a space to live, is such a basic necessity for a human being. And exploring what happens in that context will probably get to the core of where we are trying to discriminate people and separate them out. Like, we talk about ghettos, and we think, oh, those people are all in a ghetto. But how much we are feeding into bringing that situation into existence. So when we thought of all that, I thought, okay, this finding a place to rent will operate in a really fundamental way to what we're trying to
Everyone
can
relate to it. Thank you. Musawir Chugtai is a young theatre director. This is the first time that Musawir is participating in the South Asian Theatre Festival, and it's only his second play that he's directed. So I think all of you will agree he's done a fantastic job with a really beautiful play. So Musawir, a two-part question. Obviously this play was written by Rakia Raza. Rakia Raza, for those who don't know, is a theatre practitioner. She's a theatre writer. She's quite an amazing theatre personality back in Pakistan. She's doing some really fantastic work over there. So we commissioned this play, you commissioned this play to Rakia. So first of all, what was your brief to her for this play? And secondly, what were the challenges that you came across while putting this play together?
So my brief was a simple brief, just your email, copy pasted and sent to her.
Okay, we need a more profound answer.
So your theme was on partition, and because I worked one play before with her, so she exactly know what we want. So that you see was the first draft of the script. And I liked it. It has a humor in it. It has a drama. It has the dialogues, the right amount of it. And I forwarded to you, and you liked it as well.
Yes.
So, and then that's what you saw. That's the first draft. It was perfect to me. I really don't want to change anything or don't want to add anything to it.
Yes, beautifully written.
Your second part was?
What were the challenges that you came across while
Yeah,
putting this
challenges.
play?
We prepared this play 2 times. One before the lockdown. And then during the lockdown, we all get depressed and forgot the play. And then second time we prepared it again. And that was, I think, a huge challenge because you lose the momentum of your rehearsals and the play, and we have to do it again. And if you pick the same thing and start doing it again, it's not the same energy you feel. It's kind of a little boring. So we have to find our interest again and do it with passion.
Sure. So, for those of you who don't know, we actually originally scheduled this festival in August of this year. August being the month of partition for both Independence Day for India and Pakistan. But unfortunately, lockdown happened and the project got delayed, but we got there in the end. Talking about partition, Neil, what sort of mindset and strategy is required to direct this kind of play, and how did you come up with the idea, and was it quite deliberate, or was it just like a creative inspiration that you had one day?
Sure. Can I actually, before I answer that question, can I actually quickly acknowledge the audience, okay? We have gone through a lot in last couple of years about this 16, 18 months, and it's still not over. And I see this number, it's around this 90, 100 odd people sitting in front of us. Last night we had this around 110 people sitting in front of us. This is a huge encouragement. This is, you have done it, okay? Stepping out of, I can't just tell you that how proud we all feel because you have made a choice not to stay at home, come out, put the mask on, sit through this performance, adopting these changes. And trust me, we have been adopting this lot of changes backstage. We are not allowed to take our mask off. I've got the microphone on, so I can't keep the, I'm allowed to just take the mask off. But yeah, so huge encouragement. Thank you all. Coming back to your question, what sort of mindset is required?
I mean, it's not your run-on-the-mill play, you will agree. It's quite hard-hitting. It's even confronting in some ways, which is exactly what theatre should be, really. If
Sure.
it doesn't make you sit up and think, or if you don't find it confronting.
Remember, there are a lot of factors actually are involved. I mean, it's not that just one reason kind of this drives you. Of course, I mean the 75th year of the partition of the land was this a topic in itself, and we wanted to touch upon that. It's a 75th year. People actually this who witnessed the partition is our last chance to kind of sort of hear from them what stories they have heard, what experience they had, and I suppose next time we pick up this topic in another 25 years, that generation will be gone. I mean, it's already there, just fading out. So we thought that this will angle that as partition and diaspora, and see, I mean, this leaving your country and coming to another country, another society, how we reflect on this this really touching subject. So yeah, that was the motivation, and there's a lot of other motivations. I mean, this since this morning I've just this Faiz Ahmed Faiz is on my mind, and this that can be a motivation. लौट जाती है उधर भी नजर क्या कीजिए, अब भी दिलकश है तेरा हुस्न मगर क्या कीजिए, और भी कम है ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा, राहतें और भी है वसल की राहत के सिवा. So that can be itself a motivation to pick up this topic.
Thank you. Anything else that you guys would like to add before we?
Yes, I would like to thank Nautanki for giving this opportunity. It's a easy. I think it's a so much easy opportunity. We just came here and perform. We really don't have to look the production side of it. So as a performer, I think it's a heaven if you've been provided with the stage. So you just need to prepare the act and come and perform here. So on behalf of Kalakar Theatre, which is our theatre, I would really like to thank you for giving this opportunity.
Our pleasure.
I'll just add my second what he just said. But I just want to add another thing about the challenges of producing a play in the COVID situation. In our play, we have about 8 characters. And because during the COVID, more than 5 people weren't allowed to gather. So we thought, okay, we can only make this play with 5 people. How are we going to do that? So you might have noticed that we actually had double cast the role. And then in the process of making that, we kind of started writing that into the script as well, as in a creative process. So I think it also added another layer for our script. Third, like where we are all the same human beings in different characters. We do different things, but we are all the same people inside. So I just wanted to make a note of that, because COVID gave us that opportunity to do it.
I think it was really brilliantly done. So the same actors playing different characters. It was really, really, really well done. Thank you. Tom, if we can have some house lights so that we can see our lovely audience, and then we'll
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Who would like to ask the first question?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to you in a minute.
Thanks for 3 excellent plays, especially with Nandatundu, Akasha and Bazigar. It's a very strong theme representing what is happening today. Do you expect any retribution because of this play?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think. Well, I mean, I don't know whether the same kind of treatment can be given in India. I don't know. I mean, I always thought we were free to do, but as you might all know, things are not that pleasant at the moment. Having said that, it's a challenge to a creative person if there is a force stopping you from doing something. You'll find other ways of doing it. So COVID is one such example. I mean, if you can't do it, then you find other ways of doing it. And I think even in India, when there is, because I mean, if you look at Russian literature, when they under the Stalin, they found different ways of telling the stories so that it came out. It was told. I'm not saying India is like under like a Stalin rule. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if there is a condition like that, I think the creative minds will find ways of telling it, even though there are retributions. But I think it will happen.
No, but I don't know. This. I have my theatre. I have my politics with theatre, and we'll keep portraying it. I mean, this what Sudha you mentioned. I mean, this is the same thing. I suppose. I mean, when Mussolini said that we'll need to, this captures these guys, Gramsci, and this put him on the jail, kept him on the jail for 20 years, and all he did is he wrote his famous diary, and he was actually took that creative part of this referring this in a different language, and that is still motivating millions of us even today. And Gramsci has become more relevant in this circumstance. So yeah, I mean, whether India goes to that state, I suppose very soon, probably. So yeah, I mean, we'll have our creative ways of telling stories, and yeah, we'll find our creative ways.
Thank you.
How challenging was it for you to be acting and directing at the same time?
Me, I suppose, very challenging. Okay, very challenging acting and this directing. But my job was a lot easier because of the script. Okay, it's very the script actually talks to the actor. Okay, and once Uzma Gilani, is she present? Yes. The legendary Uzma Gilani wrote this play. So she's master of creating dialogues, which she did, okay, in her own style, and that made my job a lot easier because when we started reading this play, it started talking to the actors, and it was a lot easier for me to find out the action. And yeah, designing the play was a bit challenging, of course, but yeah, it was definitely challenging, but at the same time I had the support of the text. So yeah, I suppose, I mean, credit goes to Usma Gilani for that. So yeah. Thank you, Upadhyay.
By the time they asked the question, I just didn't prefer to act, actually. I'm not a very good actor. But COVID pushed me to act. So I had, with 5 people, we have to do the direction, acting, and then multiple roles. So, and it's not an easy thing, because if you're acting and directing, you can't get a sense of rhythm sometimes, and sense of how the scene
You
is.
can't
see the play and all that. So that's
You can't see.
yeah. But since COVID, we had to do it, and I think we did.
On stage more often. Really wonderful.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
Good evening and congratulations to everyone for such a splendid performance. And Neelada, it was definitely a highlight for me to see you perform for a change. It's been a while that we've seen you, so congratulations. My name is Tawfiq, and I've got a question which is slightly on the writing side and slightly on the theme side of things as well. Writing side particularly, it was the first and the last play. You had clear antagonists in your play, and on the writer's side of things, how much of a responsibility do you reckon you have on yourself to justify the character arc of the antagonist as well? I'd like you to comment on that. And the theme side of things, what I wanted to clarify was, do you reckon when you sometimes have subtle narratives, are the audience willing enough to accept the narrative that you're saying? Is that something which is on your mind while you're selecting a theme or writing a play?
I didn't hear the second part of it.
So with the theme side of things, what I wanted to get a bit of a clarity on is that the narrative that you're leading with regards to taking us into the nostalgia of partition, what are you bringing back for the present? As in, how is the audience of today, the contemporary audience, willing to accept the narrative, you reckon, as writers, as themes?
I suppose that's more to do with Musab, with the second part of that question. But while writing, I didn't actually approach the text as, you know, this distributing as protagonist and antagonist. I mean, that's a creative process, and, you know, this do not want to kind of, you know, this treat my characters, my cast, as, you know, this is a negative character, or this is, you know, this a protagonist, or, you know, this he has got the small role, little role. Not like that. Through the creative process, if it comes out and, you know, this touches you as an audience, that, you know, this he is antagonist, he is protagonist, that's purely, you know, this through the creative process. But yeah, I do not approach the text like that. Of course, I mean, you know, this you can sense it, but I don't make it very obvious in the rehearsal room. So yeah, okay. So that's my two
At your
cents on
play,
that.
and also
Yeah,
that's
and
how
so that will
you
answer you.
clearly have antagonists in your play. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you thought they were antagonists? They're all my people. Yeah, it's true. But it's a very good question, because it's always very difficult to portray an antagonist, because the writer has already taken a position, and your piece has an antagonist. But I think the only way to get out of that conundrum is to research your antagonist as much as possible, and give them richness of arguments, richness of life, richness of background. Because if you, as soon as you make them two-dimensional, black and white character, I think your whole argument for the play is lost. So protagonist is the easiest bit, because you are, that's fine. Well, I don't know whether in my play Samir is the protagonist, but anyway, yeah, you're right. But the antagonist part is, you're right, we have to really make sure that we research them so well. We don't want to have a predetermined antagonist. So I hope, because in my first couple of drafts I did feel that my antagonists are not really. So I had to build arguments for them, very strong arguments of why they don't want to rent in. Each one of them have their very own strong, good or bad, or we agree or not, that's a different question. But they must have that. So that's how I see it, and that's how I kind of work with my characters.
Thank you for that.
Just over here, please, Natalie.
आदाब, मैं शफत जाफरी पहचान टीवी से। मुझे आप लोगों का प्ले देखकर फराज का वो शेर याद आया कि हम मोहब्बत में भी तौहीद के कायल हैं फराज, एक ही शख्स को महबूब बनाए रखना। मुझे ऐसा लगा कि जो सरहद के इस पार हो या सरहद के उस पार हो, पार्टीशन के वक्त अपने अपने महबूब को भुलाना बहुत मुश्किल था। आपकी कहानी से एक कहानी याद आई जो मेरे अपने घर की कहानी है, और उनको कहा जाता था बड़ी आपा। मेरा बचपन, बड़ी आपा का आखिरी लम्हात ज़िंदगी के, वो उनकी मंगनी हुई थी जब पार्टीशन से पहले, और जब बड़े बुरे हालात में मेरे ननिहाल के लोग जब यहाँ आए थे, तो बड़ी आपा की बहुत सारी कहानियाँ हैं। उसमें से एक कहानी ये है कि उन्होंने फिर सारी ज़िंदगी शादी नहीं की उस मंगनी के नाम के ऊपर, जो मंगनी हिंदुस्तान में हुई थी। तो मुसव्विर और नील दोनों से मेरा सवाल भी है और गुजारिश भी है, ये मेरी दरख्वास्त भी है आप लोगों से। जब मैं उनका चेहरा सोचती हूँ, हल्का सा हवेला है कि एक सैयद घरानी की एक औरत जो अपनी मोहब्बत का इजहार भी खुल के नहीं कर सकती, लेकिन कितनी मतलब मैं समझती हूँ कितनी काविश होगी उसकी हर आने वाले रिश्ते पर ये कह के इनकार करना कि मेरे दिल से तो मेरी शादी उसके साथ हो गई थी। और बाद में पता चला कि बड़े मामू ने आज तक बताया नहीं था कि दंगे के दौरान वो तो शहीद हो चुका था, लेकिन वो इस आस पर जिंदा रही थी बड़ी आपा कि वो वापस आएगा जिसके नाम की अंगूठी उन्हें पहनाई गई थी। तो मेरी दरख्वास्त ये है कि 10 से 20 साल बाद शायद हमारी बाद की जो जनरेशन है वो इस पार्टीशन के किस्से के बारे में ना सुनना चाहेगी, ना उसको कोई दिलचस्पी होगी, लेकिन महबूब वहीं है सरहद के उस पार, और जिनका महबूब वहाँ था, मैं उस महबूब की उन जगहों को देखना चाहती हूँ। शायद मेरे बच्चे भी बड़ी आपा के महबूब की उन जगहों को देखना चाहें, तो क्यों ना नेक्स्ट प्ले जो हो वो बर्दाश्त के ऊपर हो, दोस्ती के ऊपर हो, ताकि रास्ते खुलने के ऊपर हो कि हम अपने ख़ानदान के लोगों के महबूबों को की जगहों को देखने के लिए सरहद के उस पार जा सकें। तो क्यों ना हम अब आपस के रिश्तों को इस्तवार करने की बात भी करें। और अगर इजाज़त हो तो मेरा गुनगुनाने को दिल चाह रहा है, वैसे मैं गुलकारा नहीं हूँ, अगर रीमा इजाज़त दे दो क्योंकि मैंने कहा ना वो शायराना माहौल हो गया था आप दोनों से, तो मैं चाहूँगी कि नेक्स्ट क्या होगा आपका आप ज़रूर बताइएगा। लेकिन वो नैयरा नूर का फैज़ का कलाम के रात यूं दिल में तेरी कोई हुई यादाई, जैसे वीराने में छुपके से बाहर आ जाए, जैसे बीमार को बेवजह करार आ जाए। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you. Thank you.
Did he actually ever get married? What was his backstory?
No, he didn't get married. No, he waited all
I thought
his
maybe
life.
he waited for his wife
Yeah.
to die and then.
I can make any story now, you know. And I can go, you want me to perform now? Sure.
I've just been wondering.
Sequel, yes, yeah. Oh, you ready for the sequel? That's good news.
Next, please. Oh, thank you, Nat.
Just, I thoroughly enjoyed all three plays, well directed and well acted, and everything was good, lights and sound, everything was well organized. Thank you so much. Might be a stupid question, but after partition, we all are
Question is a
trying,
stupid question. Nah.
after partition, we all are trying to forget whatever has happened in the past. Selecting this type of topic or theme, don't you think that memories, is it good or bad? I'm not 100% to bring it back.
Good question, Nap. I do not think it's bad. Okay, I won't say it's good because it's very sensitive. Okay, very sensitive. What's the English of Sanjida? What's okay. So it's not bad at all. Okay, it's not bad at all to pick up this topic. Okay, I have my personal experience. My dad crossed the border, whom I lost a few months ago. It's so sensitive that you do not talk about those days. You do not talk about these days. I'll give you an example which I kind of referred that in the past. So the dad side family don't have any family album of East Pakistan. Nothing. Okay, so everything was kind of just left there. So and no one actually just talked about it within the family. My dad was very silent about it. Okay, though he was around 5 years old when he crossed the border, and he was very fortunate. Okay, because my grandfather was he had the government job, so he got the police protection and all those things. But even then, there were some other stories I've collected from my aunties and uncles. But my dad was particularly very silent about it. We never spoke. There are some the stories. So that's my personal story, I suppose. But on the whole, as far as the festival is concerned, as I said, I mean, this is our last chance to hear the first-hand stories. After that, we'll always refer that I heard from my auntie, or I heard from my parents, my mother, that sort of stuff. I think as an artist, it's really required to just go back and validate those facts. I mean, and after few years, it will be second-hand stories. So we thought that this year it was quite relevant to pick up this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Neil.
Last question.
Can I ask?
Yes,
say something?
please go ahead. The mic's just making its way to you.
Congratulations to all the three of you.
Thank you.
I can speak for everyone that all of us really enjoyed.
Testing.
Yeah, thank you.
You can speak.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, I thoroughly enjoyed all the three segments. It brought back so many memories of what I personally went through in my life. Like when I was living in Hyderabad, like while going to school and all that, we were so much protected, Like every time the Nizam would pass, we were all supposed to be covered. The rickshaw used to be covered and all that. And then so when Indian festivals used to happen, then I shouldn't be saying this, but the Muslims, they used to throw cow dungs on the temples. And then if it was a Muslim festival, Indians, they would do the same thing to them.
You mean Hindus?
And then, but after this incident, we were all friends again. But this went on and on. I think it's still there. So what I saw in all the three segments, it is so it's so full of life and so much of reality. It really brought so many memories of my past.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for coming here tonight. We really appreciate it. If you could please proceed to the foyer, and if you'd like to stay back 5 or 10 minutes, I'm sure the cast and crew would love to meet you and you'd love to meet them. So if I can please ask you to please proceed to the foyer. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming tonight. And we'll see you at the festival next year.